Hey everybody, it's Dave here, Holiday for Two, and I hope you're having a great day. And right now I'm just working on my next video for a place called Alamo Lake. Now if you like to ride ATVs, if you have an ATV or a small quad or a 4x4 vehicle that you like to take off-road and you tow behind your vehicle, this would be a great place for you to go if you've never been there. Also, if you like to fish and you have a little boat, maybe you pull a boat behind your rig and you would like to do some bass fishing, Alamo Lake is great for that. The time of year to go to Alamo Lake is really between October and April. That's the best time of year to go there. There are campsites available at Alamo Lake. There are also dispersed camping spots available, and I'll show you where those are in the links at the end of the video. There's also a place to get gas there called the Wayside Inn, and it's probably the only place within 35 miles to get gas, but it's a great little spot there called the Wayside Oasis. If you've never been to Alamo Lake, it's a little off the beaten path, but it is worth the visit to go there. If you have a bass boat and you'd like to do fishing, you can put your boat in Alamo Lake, great bass fishing. If you like to ride ATVs and 4x4s, there are some really cool places to go at Alamo Lake. The Mud Cliffs. You could go to the Palmerita Ranch and take a drive out there, or you can go across the river and go see the Red Canyon. There's also a mine north of the lake, the Maggie Mine, which is a good ride north of the lake. And so it's a really interesting lake. I even hear there's a ghost town that's buried or submerged at the bottom of Alamo Lake. So if you're into scuba diving, you could probably visit the ghost town at Alamo Lake. Yeah, there's a ghost town there. Let's get ready to take a visit to Alamo Lake, and I'll show you what's there if you ever decide to go there. If you've never been there, it is worth the trip. Let's go.
So someday when my ship comes in, I know just what we'll do. We'll pack our bags and quit our jobs and have a holiday for two.
Alamo Lake State Park, Arizona is one of those places you have to see if you've never been there. It is off the beaten path, and therefore make sure you fill up your supplies well before you get to the lake. Take on water and supplies and ice and everything else. Take Highway 60 between either Wickenburg or Quartzsite, turn at the town of Wendon and go north, and you will run into Alamo Lake after about 35 miles. Like I said, there are not very many facilities, but when you get there, there is a place called the Wayside Oasis, and it has a lot of small grocery items that you might need. There's a little place there where you can get food and drinks and stuff, a little bar, and they also have lots of activities. This is a few years ago when we went there, and we took our toy hauler. Before we got the motorhome, we took our toy hauler out there and met up with a bunch of friends. And we camped on the airstrip. This is on the old airstrip that is between Wayside Oasis and the lake. And it's a great place to camp. Lots of level spots, plenty of room for mini rigs. We got there early and just decided to take a little trail ride. In a few minutes you'll see we went to the Mud Cliffs. Now the Mud Cliffs, it's a very interesting geological kind of place. And how it happened is one of those freaks of nature, I guess. It's really eerie when you get in there and walk through the mud cliffs. It makes you feel like you're on another planet or something. Just watch. We were with a couple of friends of ours who also had ATVs, and we parked outside the mud cliffs and walked in. Some people ride them in, but I don't recommend it because it does damage some of the interesting geological.
That's cool.
It's really cool.
Ooh. That's neat.
Very neat.
Weird. It's like something from Mars.
Yes, definitely. You look around and you think you're on another planet somewhere. So after we finished hiking up through the mud cliffs, we took a trip to the historic Palmerita Ranch. Now this is an old ranch that goes back many, many years. It's got a long history here. And a lot of the buildings have been vacant for many years now, but you can still
We are at, what is this place called?
the historic Palmerita Ranch. It began back in 1899. Wow. That's a cool ride. Definitely worth the trip. If you can get back there, you can get some Jeeps or some ATVs, Razors, quads. It's worth the trip to get back there and visit it. Cattle ranching was a big thing back 50, 60, 70 years ago, and this was a cattle ranch before they flooded the lake. Got back in time to go to sleep and get up the next morning and take a ride
Sunrise.
to the Red Cliffs, or the Red Canyon as it's called. I'll show you that in just a minute. Beautiful sunrise, beautiful sunsets also. So this next day we got up and went to the Red Canyon. Now there's lots of maps around there. This map is one you can find at the Wayside Oasis. Just take a picture of it with your phone, and it's worth the trip. You have to go across the river, and there's an old school bus out there that's been there since the 1940s or 50s. Now, according to what I read about Alamo Lake, they flooded this place back in the 60s and used it as for flood control. So they flooded the area along Bill Williams River here, and there was a town that was underneath, or the town that's underneath the lake right now, an old ghost town called Alamo Crossing, I think was the name of the town. I'll show you a picture of it here. Now, if you stay tuned at the end of the video, I'll put some links to the Wayside Oasis and how to find the airstrip and also where the camping areas are. But this is the Wayside Oasis, the park, RV park bar and grill. They have hamburgers and French fries and other dishes, plus a little bar that you can get some drinks. And this is a very popular hangout with ATV riders. It's always good at the end of the day to have a nice fire to relax to. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please stay tuned and hit like, share, and subscribe on this. Thanks. Bye. Dave here again, and I'm going to give you some particulars on how to get to Alamo Lake and what's the best way to get there. And really, the best ways is either you come from Wickenburg, or you can come up from Quartzsite on Highway 60, and you're going to turn at a little town called Wendon. Now, it's not a big town, so if you haven't gotten food and supplies and gas, you're probably going to want to do that in Wendon. There's a few little spots where you can stop, a few little gas stations here. And then you hit the road that goes up to Alamo Lake. I think this road is called Alamo Lake Road. That's what the name of the road is. Now, if you want to do camping in a campground, there are campgrounds here around Alamo Lake. There's a nice campground here. You just keep coming up Alamo Road and go around. I think you probably do need to make reservations for those campgrounds ahead of time. And it will probably, Arizona State Parks. That's to go through the website on azstateparks.com to make your reservations at Alamo Lake. And to be honest with you, I've never done the campground there. I believe there might be hookups there, 30 amp hookups, but I'm not positive on that. I know there's a little Alamo Lake Visitor Center and Ranger Station. I've driven through there to get to the overlook there. We took our Jeep up there and took the Razors out there too when we were out there. But there's another campground a little bit north of there, northeast, Campground C, Campground B, and another campground that's a little closer to Lake Camp, the group campground up here, and Campground E. So there are a couple different campgrounds with restrooms and showers available. If you want to just a boondock and dispersed camp, then I'll show you the best places to do that. Here's the Wayside Oasis. Definitely a place to check out when you get there. They have your basic supplies. They also have RV hookups and spots available. And some people that stay here for like several months during the winter time. A lot of these folks that stay here have ATVs, and it's just a natural thing. They take their ATVs out quite often, and there's so many rides that you probably never get bored of ATV riding around here. There's just so many things to see. But the Wayside Oasis is a definite must-see if you get there. When you get to the Wayside Oasis, you want to go up Wickenburg Road, and it's about, I'm going to say 2 miles, mile and a half, 2 miles up to the old airstrip right here. This is the best spot that we found. There is tons of room here for mini rigs. You can pull off this little road here off the Wickenburg Road and get back in here. And it's not it's not much to look at, but it is level and it's a great place to boondock. And when the weather's nice, hey, you're close from there. It's just a short drive up to the lake. You can put your boat in up there. You can ride up to the water. There's a boat dock there. Now on this map it looks like it's it's out of the water there, but I believe they paved that down. The lake fluctuates sometimes depending on the rainy season, and so keep in mind that. And somewhere in here is where that ghost town is, Alamo Crossings, and I'm not exactly sure where it is. I want to say it's right in this area, because at one time before they flooded this back in the 1960s, like the river went through here, see, and the river was kind of in on the north, what do you want to call that, northwest side of the lake. Right here was where the deepest part is, and I think Alamo Crossings was right in here along this edge. Of course, if you know more accurately where it's at, please put in the description below if you can give us an idea where it's at. I don't do scuba diving myself. I know there are people that like to do that. It's a kind of a popular thing to do. Go down and look at the ghost town underneath the Alamo Lake. It's an interesting part of the lake. The best place to cross over the river, if you look at the Wayside Oasis, they have a map there that you can download. There's a place here they call the Rabbit Hole, and you have to take the trail through here. It's a really cool trail. Sometimes there's water through here in this area of the crossing, so just be aware of that. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. There's the trail. You can see the trail. Sometimes you may have to cross through some water here. And you go down a little rabbit hole and back up and around. There's this old school bus over here. And I was reading a post that somebody had put on the website for this about let me see if I can have it still. Yeah. And there was a post down here that said, J.W. Combs wrote in on July 2nd, 2020. He said, I went to school at Brown's Crossing in 1954 and 56. I lived in the old bus that still exists above the lake on the north side. So that bus has been there for a long time, and it definitely looks it. But how they got that back there, I would love to know. Whether they took the bus through the rabbit hole, I don't know. But if you keep going on this trail and go around, it'll take you all the way over here. Now, disregard the 15 you see here on the Google Maps, because there ain't no trail there. We tried to find that, and it's just a bunch of brush and river dry brush there. We couldn't find a trail there, but I think sometimes Google Map gets a little mixed up on where exactly the trail is. I think the trail that's referring to is this one right here, what they call the rabbit hole in the old bus. So you come around through here, take the 15 around, and go to the Maggie Wash. There's the Maggie Wash right here. This is called Maggie Wash. And if you go up Maggie Wash, you will see the Red Canyon. You can actually, it closes in and gets really narrow in here, but it is a fun ride. 60-inch rigs, Jeeps can make it. It gets a little bit tight once in a while, but you can make it through there. I don't remember any places in here where it got too tight for even a 60-inch. Some of our friends had 60-inch rigs that were Razors and some Can-Ams and some Terexes, and they're 60 inches wide, and they didn't have any problem getting in there. We did park here and walked back in this crevice here, and it is a fun walk. You can't ride all the way in. You can ride here and park, and then you can actually walk through this all the way to the back, and it's a fun walk because the walls of the canyon go straight up for about 40 or 50 feet. And when you get back in there, you can barely see the sunshine down through the cracks. But it's kind of a cool hike through there. And we had lunch at the Red Canyon. Now, I understand that Maggie Wash goes up farther, and there's an old mine up here called the Maggie Mine. We didn't get up that far at this trip. We did take the trail up, but you have to go up quite a ways, I think, to get to the Maggie Mine. which I believe is up in this area somewhere, but it's been a while since we were there, and it's just so many rides you can take up in the northwest corner up here. You can ride up that way. You can also ride up Bill Williams River this way up on the northeast side and go around. There's lots to see over here. If you take these trails and stuff, you can go back on these washes, go up the Big Sandy River, and there's more trails here that you can take. So definitely lots of trail rides to see. If you got ATVs and stuff, lots of things, lots of fun things to do. Oh, the mud cliffs. Yeah, let me show you. Not too far from the Wayside Oasis are the mud cliffs. You take this trail around over here, and we drove in about here, and then you park in here, and then you could walk in. I see a post that people have made where they take their razors in here on this trail, and I wouldn't really do that. It gets kind of narrow and can get sandy and deep, and you may get stuck back in here. And it also tends to destroy some of the natural formations. And how all this got formed is really interesting over the years, and the rains and stuff and the water, the way it trickles down through the mud and stuff just creates this cool fixtures and geological formations that make you think you're on another planet somewhere. It's really cool. So that's the mud cliffs. If you take the Date Creek Road around, it'll take you over to the Palm Marita Ranch. And I'll just kind of follow you here on the trail. You can cut over this trail here. And there's the Palm Marita Ranch, as you saw in the video. It was an old family had this ranch for years and years and years. Kind of got passed around through different families and stuff. There was cattle ranch here. And I think it all just kind of fizzled out eventually in the 50s and 60s when the lake, when they formed the lake. And of course, economic times and stuff kind of fell on them, and it just kind of went into ruin. But the buildings are still there, and I don't know who owns it at the time, but if you want to do a little research and investigation on that, I seem to recall that somebody had bought the property and was going to do something with it at the time we were there a year or two ago. So it's an interesting ride to go out there. And more trails even out west of that. It's interesting. I see this campsite here. I don't think that's an actual campsite. It's somebody probably drove out there and camped out there. But you can boondock out there if you want. It's definitely a lot of places out there. It's off the beaten path. And the best way to get there is from Wickenburg or Quartzsite and turn at Wendon. And of course, you do want to get all your supplies ahead of time, because when you get out there, the only place to get gas, they do have a little gas pump there at the Wayside Oasis, a regular gas. I don't know what the price is. Seem to recall the price wasn't too bad at the time compared to Wickenburg, and it wasn't like they were putting the prices up extraordinarily high. There are people that do camp there year round and stuff. So hey, Alamo Lake fishing. If you're into fishing, bass fishing, it's a great bass fishing lake. ATV rides and camp on the old airstrip. There's also a lot of boondocking areas around there you can camp too. So check it out sometime. Hope you have fun and safe travels. And be sure to hit like and subscribe on this. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a great day.